We are Eliason Farms Limited, Rentham, Alberta, south of Taber. I'm Troy, and this is Sabrina.
We grow malt, barley seed, and lentils, and we have a soy crushing business. So we turn soybeans into meal and oil for the feed industry.
I'm third generation on the farm, so we've been farming since
1941, I believe, is when
this
grandfather set up the operation, yeah.
We've been growing pedigreed seed since 1986.
Well, on the soy crushing side, we use heat-derived production, so we have an extruder that heats the beans up to make them suitable for feed, whereas the biggest competitors use a chemically distilled process. We feel that anything that you can do without chemicals is a little bit better, and it produces a higher grade feed with a little bit higher oil quantity. It's a very good product. Our customers love it. Got high protein and all the energy wrapped into one, so they don't have to do as much mixing.
We still decanter our oil down from the top to get good clean oil. That's our customers throughout the Pacific Northwest. A lot of oil goes into the US. That's what they're after. And we had a fair bit of waste. About 14% oil we get out of a bean. A bean traditionally runs 22 to 24% oil is what's in a soybean. So we get 14% of it. That ends up in the plant. 10% not necessarily left in the meal, but it just depends on the bean.
And some gets evaporated to moisture. So of that 13 to 14% of oil, before we were basically dumping that into feeding industry as a lower grade oil. So at a lower grade oil, you're getting less for it. We were creating good products on both sides, but on the oil side, we weren't refining it down to where we could make the most money per ton on that product. So that's when Allied came into the picture.
There is other centrifuge companies out there. Allied got back to us right away. They were eager to work with small producers because I would classify us very small in this game.
So the decanter itself allowed us to squeeze that oil, to spin it out. It's all automated, but it spins it out and it creates more value in that oil in that we only have, of that 14% from before, we were having how much waste?
Of the 14%, we would probably get 80% of the 14%, if that makes sense. So out of 10 ton, if that's what we got, we would probably dump into the other feeding industry probably 3 ton of that. It was almost 30%. Now we've got it penciled right down to we get about 95 of good oil. 5% goes into the feeding industry, so it's definitely significant gain on that end of it. Service is a big thing. In the farming industry, service is what gets us to buy equipment because the equipment is so high tech now that when you go down, we can't fix a lot of the stuff anymore. And this is no different. So locally, and as long as the service is there, they got you forever, right?
Yes, and the company's very easy to work with. Well, when you're kind of down in the dredges and you got your head down and you're working on the farm on projects, and then a guy comes in and is like, oh, we can totally do that. It changes everything. So it makes you think that there's a possibility for expansion or growth and that they'll be with you right through the process. And then on the service side, we've only had one little problem that shut us down, and they were out the very next day to fix it for us. So incredible when you can come from Calgary and take care of customers like that. So we had a pretty good startup. It was really efficient and well done. Allied was definitely a good partner to have for getting us on this track.